For decades, the US dollar has been the world's default currency, everyone's go-to for trade, savings, and big business. But now, the game is changing. A new team, BRICS, has entered the arena, and they're rewriting the rules. Over 50 nations are exploring trading in their own currencies, like the Chinese Yuan and Indian Rupee, instead of the dollar. It's like a massive group chat started without the US, focused on building a new way of doing business. This isn't just a minor rebellion, it's a seismic shift that could reshape the global economy. Countries are building their own payment systems and financial agreements, creating real alternatives to the dollar. The world of money is getting more complicated and a lot more interesting. Are we seeing the rise of a more balanced, multipolar world, or just a new dominant player? The global money game is on and the new players are ready. So, who exactly are the BRICS? You've probably heard the name tossed around in the news, but what does it really mean? Originally, BRICS was an acronym for Brazil, Russia, India, and China. Four massive, fast-growing economies that experts believed would shape the future of the global economy. These countries weren't the traditional economic powerhouses of the West. Instead, they brought something new to the table: huge populations, vast natural resources, and a hunger for growth and influence on the world stage. In 2010, South Africa joined the group, turning BRIC into BRICS, and adding even more diversity and reach to the alliance. What started as just an idea among economists quickly became a real-world alliance, representing a massive share of the world's population and economic output. Over 40% of people on Earth, in fact. And the group isn't stopping there. Recently, BRICS expanded even further, welcoming Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the UAE into the fold, with Saudi Arabia also expected to join soon. Now, BRICS represents nearly half the world's population and controls a huge chunk of global energy resources, making it a force to be reckoned with in international affairs. But here's the thing, this isn't a military alliance. BRICS is all about economics, trade, and development, not about armies or weapons. To back up their ambitions, they've even created their own bank, the New Development Bank, which serves as an alternative to the World Bank and IMF, giving them more control over their own financial destinies. BRICS is working to build a new world order, not through force, but by forging trade deals, investing in infrastructure, and creating financial systems that challenge the old guard. Their ultimate goal? To have a much bigger say in how the world is run, and to make sure their voices, and the voices of billions, are heard on the global stage. With so many new players entering the game, the economic battlefield just got a lot more crowded, and a lot more interesting. Why are countries moving away from the US dollar? It's about control. When the world uses your currency, you hold enormous power, able to freeze reserves or block access to global banking. For many nations, this is a threat to their sovereignty. They want to control their own economic destiny, not risk being cut off over political disagreements. Trading in dollars also means extra costs and inefficiencies. Countries must convert their money twice, losing value each time. Direct trade in local currencies is faster, cheaper, and more straightforward. Plus, US economic policies like interest rate hikes send shockwaves worldwide, making debts harder to pay. Countries are tired of being on a financial roller coaster they can't control. By moving away from the dollar, they hope for more stability and independence. It's not just economics, it's about freedom. The world is declaring economic independence. One of the biggest drivers of this movement? Sanctions. The US has used its dollar dominance to impose sanctions on countries like Iran, North Korea, Venezuela, and especially Russia. When Russia invaded Ukraine, the US and allies froze its reserves and cut it off from global banking. The message, cross us, and you're out of the financial system. For Russia, it was devastating. For others, it was a warning. Countries realized their reliance on the dollar was a vulnerability. A political disagreement could mean economic disaster. This fear has supercharged the push for alternatives. Now even US allies are seeking ways to reduce their risk. Trading in yuan, rupees, or digital currencies is seen as insurance. It's not about being anti-American, it's about survival. Ironically, sanctions meant to isolate have accelerated the search for a world less dependent on the dollar. The financial battlefield is shifting fast. How does this new system work? Take Russia selling oil to India. Instead of using dollars, India pays in rupees, which Russian companies keep in Indian banks. Russia then uses those rupees to buy Indian goods, creating a closed-loop trade system. China is doing the same, pushing partners to settle trades in yuan. Brazil sells soybeans to China, gets paid in yuan, and uses it to buy Chinese electronics. Even Saudi Arabia has started accepting yuan for oil sales to China, a huge shift from the dollar-dominated petrodollar system. Direct trade in local currencies strengthens economic ties and boosts the global profile of those currencies. Every transaction in rupees or yuan chips away at the dollar's dominance. It's a slow process, but the foundation of the old system is eroding. The world is learning to trade without the dollar. The rules of global commerce are being rewritten. To make local currency trading easier and more efficient, countries have developed a clever tool called currency swap lines. Imagine them as financial friend requests sent between central banks across the globe. These agreements are like a handshake of trust, allowing nations to support each other directly when it comes to exchanging money. When two countries set up a swap line, they agree to lend each other their currencies at a predetermined rate. This arrangement ensures that trade and investment can continue smoothly, even if global markets become unstable or unpredictable. It's a way to keep business flowing, no matter what's happening elsewhere. For instance, if the UAE and China want to do a major business deal, they can instantly swap their currencies using this system, skipping the hassle and risk of the open market. This makes large transactions faster, cheaper, and more secure for both sides. These swap lines are quickly becoming the backbone of a new, non-dollar trading system, especially among emerging economies looking for alternatives to traditional Western-dominated finance. China, for example, has established over 40 swap agreements with countries around the world. This makes the yuan not only more accessible for international trade, but also helps build trust in China's currency as a reliable option. This growing network acts as a financial safety net. If a BRICS country suddenly faces a cash crunch or a crisis, it can quickly tap into a swap line for instant liquidity, helping to stabilize its economy without delay. There's no need to turn to the IMF or World Bank, institutions that many countries feel are too heavily influenced by Western interests and often come with strict conditions. Instead, BRICS is quietly building a parallel financial universe, one based on mutual support, shared interests, and a desire for greater independence from traditional power structures. It's all about gaining more autonomy, increasing the speed of transactions, and building resilience into the global financial system, especially for developing nations. The financial world is becoming more interconnected than ever, but now, those connections are forming outside the dollar's shadow, opening up new possibilities for global trade and cooperation. Now, digital currencies are entering the mix, specifically central bank digital currencies or CBDCs. China leads with its digital yuan or e-CNY, a government-backed digital wallet for instant payments. The digital yuan could make international payments fast and cheap, bypassing dollar-based banking systems. Imagine a merchant in Egypt selling to a tourist from China. Payment happens instantly, phone to phone, in digital yuan. BRICS is experimenting with mBridge, a platform connecting digital currencies for direct international trade. This could create a new financial system, separate from the West's SWIFT network. But digital currencies raise questions about privacy and government control. Using a state-backed digital currency means more transparency, and potentially more surveillance. As countries seek freedom from the dollar, they must weigh the trade-offs of new digital systems. The future of money is digital, fast, and up for grabs. So what does all this mean for the US? The dollar isn't collapsing overnight, it's still the world's main reserve currency. But as more countries trade without dollars, demand for the greenback will slowly decline. This could erode America's exorbitant privilege, the ability to print money and run deficits with little consequence. Less demand for dollars could mean higher inflation and interest rates in the US. For everyday Americans, that means pricier loans and more expensive imports. The US government could face higher borrowing costs, leading to tough choices on spending and taxes. Some say a less dominant dollar could force the US to be more fiscally responsible and competitive. The transition will be bumpy, but it could lead to a healthier economy and a more balanced world. The key is how the US adapts to this new reality. The era of easy money may be ending, but new opportunities could emerge. So, where is all this heading? The world is at a crossroads, and the choices made now could shape the future for generations to come. Are we moving toward a fairer, multipolar world, or just trading one boss for another? The question is more relevant than ever as new alliances and rivalries emerge on the global stage. The optimistic view is that power will be shared among major players like the US, China, India, and the EU, creating a more balanced and inclusive system. A multipolar system could be more resilient, with different regions contributing to global stability and innovation. With more choices and competition in global finance, countries might have greater flexibility and independence, reducing the risks of relying on a single dominant power. Developing nations could gain a louder voice, influencing decisions that affect their futures. This could mean a fairer shot at prosperity, with more investment in education, infrastructure, and opportunity for millions. That's the vision BRICS promotes, a world of equals, where every nation has a seat at the table, not dominated by one power, but shaped by cooperation and mutual respect. But some worry this just swaps US control for Chinese control, with the yuan replacing the dollar as the world's main currency, and old patterns of dominance repeating themselves. Will the new system be more democratic, truly reflecting the voices of all nations, or will it just serve new powerful states, leaving smaller countries on the sidelines? The answer is still unfolding, as history is written in real time. The rise of BRICS is shaking up the old order, challenging long-standing institutions and assumptions. It's forcing a global conversation about fairness, power, and who gets to decide the rules. We're living through a pivotal moment, one that could redefine the balance of power for decades. This is a great rebalancing of global influence, with every move watched closely by the world. Whether it leads to greater cooperation and shared prosperity or sparks new rivalries and divisions will define the 21st century and our place in it.